It's entirely too violent and selfish and self-centered and concerned to be God's way of doing things. So I believe way before I got here that gave to me expects me to, in order to transform the world. Now, I gotta say, I have some reasonable gifts. However, transforming the world is a pretty big job. And I gotta tell you, if God has an expectation for me to use in order to, I'm gonna need a little help. It's not that I'm not willing to, and it's not that I don't believe in, and it's not that I don't think I have. It's just a lot of work. And so I'm gonna need a little help in order to, because it's expecting me to do it. God is expecting me to transform not my town, not my city, not my school, not my family, Is anybody else just a little bit like, really? Seriously? Nobody else, even in this section of red, is like, dude, really? There's one in the back who's like, I was right with you, Reverend Day, till you got to the whole world thing. I was like, Mom knew I was with that, and they don't like each other now. I was all there, and the God and the gift. I was like, sweet, a gift, nice. Right till you got to the world, and then I was like, whoa, okay. Time to take a coffee break. God's expectation of us is huge, because God recognizes that we are connected one to another. And God knows that if each and every one of us just uses that we were given, if we did that collectively, if each and every one of us just used that we were given and did that, if each and every person in this room just took the time to discern what their were, and they were willing to use them in a way that was, we would be in a different place. In a radically different place. And so God's expectation of us is not outsized, because God understands that we're already connected. It only feels like the weight of the world on our single shoulders because we failed to make the decision to choose to connect. And so when each and every one of us, no matter how large decides that we're going to take on we get what's called burnt out. And every church meeting I've ever been to is filled with people who are burnt out, carrying the weight of the world on their back. And they started ministry running. They came to the church with excitement and joy and enthusiasm. And not that long after, they were like this. Because they were part of 15,723 committees, 4,907 task force groups that were supposed to meet short term. And so now they're like this. They are burnt out because they've read the Gospels, they've been challenged by them, they have been turned over, their lives have been transformed, and they believe it's their job to transform, but they're trying to do it all by themselves because they've forgotten we are. So I think the reason why it's important for us to choose to be connected is because gave us expects us to, in order to, and you can't do it unless you are. Very nice. Very nice. So now the church is at a crossroads because we've got to figure out how to Yeah, that. And so we're trying to figure out. So we're trying to figure out where we are on this journey. And for some of us, the journey is colorful and fabulous, and we're having such a great time. We're willing to invite other folks to come along with us. For some of us, the journey feels like a solo experience, but we're doing it in a way that is sustainable. For other parts of us, the journey looks off into the distance, and we can't even see ourselves on the dot anymore, and there are mountains in the background, and we're tired already. And we are burnt out, trying to all by ourselves. So the question is, how shall we connect? How do we do that? Do we connect in this way, where I hold your hand, and I hold your hand, and you find another hand to hold, and we work our way all the way around? Is that how we connect ourselves? That's a good start. Thank you very much, Neil. I like that. Take that. Neil says that's a good start. Are we connected in this way? I figured out the answer, and now it is my job to hoist you up so you can figure out the answer too. Now I want to say again, I got a pretty good setup, but I don't know how many of you I'm going to be able to pull up. It's not that I don't love you, that I don't think that you're a magnificent creation of the divine. It's just a very difficult model. It works in the short term, but it is not a good long-term strategy. And often when we talk about connection in the church, we talk about a good start, and we come up with ideas that are very good short-term strategies, but they aren't very good long-term strategies, and they lead to us being, because they only work for this much time, and the life of the church is eternal. There's another possibility. And that possibility is that we stand side by side connected in the palm of the hand of the living God. I won't say that again. There's another possibility in terms of how we are connected. And that is that we stand side by side with each other in the center of the palm of the hand of the living God. There is another possibility here. And that is a long-term possibility, that we learn how to stand side by side, where I learn from you and you learn from me, and we learn from the other person on the other side, and all of us are learning together, and each and every one of us never lose sight of the fact that we are in the center of the palm of the hand of the very living God. The God who, before any of us was here, gave each and every one of us and expects us to, in order to. It's just another possibility. And again, these are simply suggestions. How we do that sometimes is a very scary transition between these three words. We vacillate between our need to be independent, the very unhealthy place of being codependent, and trying to learn what it is to be interdependent. As Congregationalists, we strive to be independent, to be self-sufficient, as if we do not require the hand of God to support and undergird all of the work we do, and as if any one of us individually has the power or the skill set to on our own. Many of us do this because we think if we are too connected, we will become codependent. And we do not want to be that. We do not want to be in a place where we are incapable of doing the basic things for ourselves. And so in an effort to ensure we can take care of the basic things for ourselves, we hold on to our fierce independence and therefore put ourselves in a position where we are forced to, because we're trying to all by, and it doesn't. just suggestions. That's all they are, I promise. Just suggestions. But what does it mean to be interdependent? That is to have the ability to take care of my basic needs on my own. For you to take care of your basic needs on your own. But to recognize there is something so large and grand beyond simply what is necessary. And move into what is transformational that requires the assistance of others. What would it mean for us as a church to pull ourselves out of this malaise of simply doing enough to survive, to exist, to subsist, and to get back into the business of world transformation? What would it mean for us to walk out of here today committed to absolutely, positively, so that every man and every woman, every boy and every girl, every questioning person, every intersex person, every individual of every color and every ability and every size and every shape walked around this earth knowing they are magnificent in the eyesight of God? What would it mean to commit ourselves to a life of faith that was so rich and so deep that we stood on the edge of what we could do by ourselves, peering into what we can only do with God's help and the help of one another? What would it look like to live right there, waking up some mornings going, I don't know. I got a pretty big, but I don't know. The only way this is going to get done is if you and you and you and you and you help me, because otherwise I'm just going to fall off the edge here. What would it look like to live that way, knowing that whatever edge I stand on, I stand there, locked arm in arm with a brother and sister and cousin who stands beside me with the same goal of, if we had a way to be stirred up, the joy stirred up within us, such that we woke up with a kind of joy and enthusiasm too. Instead of feeling every time we hear about some new thing that requires transformation. Sometimes you gotta put, but other times you gotta learn how to stir something up. And you gotta learn how to, in yourself, you gotta learn how to, in yourself. And once you've done the business of in yourself, then you get the joy of going along and stirring something up in somebody else, right? There's a whole big difference between and stirring a little something up in somebody else. Now, I want you to put your hands out like this, okay? And I want you to take one hand like this, and I want you to practice stirring it up in yourself. Very nice. And then I want you to turn and ask somebody else if you can stir it up in them. And if they say yes, then I want them to put their hands like this and you do that. And then if they say no, then stir it up in yourself. Go ahead, find a little somebody. Stir it up a little bit. Stir it up a little bit. That's good. This is Sister D's room, just pull something on it. Just stir it up a little bit. A little stirring up on top. A little stirring. That's good. That's good. A little stirring. Church is the place we go to be